we're live on Facebook as well. The platforms just keep multiplying. Hey, Facebook people, we're also doing this Instagram Live today, so everybody is joining together. This is the thing about the Gathering Room. If you just stumbled across it and you don't actually know what's happening here, it's just a place for people who want to talk about sort of the intersection of science, psychology, and spirituality for us to get together. Oh, good. We just went live. Excellent. It's a place where we all get together. Oh. Okay, my Instagram Live camera fell down. It fully fell down. Okay, hang on. Oh boy. Okay. Neep. Okay, we've got people moving lights and all kinds of things. Sorry, guys. We're good. I think we're good. No, we're not good. Okay, but I'm just going to keep going because that's what live Instagramming is all about. We keep going. In fact, today's topic kind of lends itself to this. I didn't say hi, everybody, but hello, everybody. And, the Instagram folks are back? Oh, yeah, they're good. Sorry. It keeps waving around. I'm so sorry. Like we have one of those mounts, only it keeps acting like it's alive. Okay, it should stay there. But maybe perhaps you could just stand there in case. The miracle of modern technology. Somebody just stands hovering over it like, see? We worked on this for hours, but now that it's gone live, it's like the gods of the internet hear that you think it's going well, so it's not going to go well. Today's topic, all you lovely people from everywhere out there, today's topic is making a fresh start. Okay? So a fresh start, yes, is what I need to do right now. I spent all week inside a 6x8 foot black box of a room recording an audiobook, which is a great thrill. And I'm really, so grateful to have done it. And it's weird because you're in a little black box for several days with no one there. And of course, with COVID, I'd go in there all masked and everything. And then I'd have to take off all my flanges so that I could do the audiobook. And then I came out and it was like, wait, I've come out into the light of day again. It's time to make a fresh start. And my first day home, I found myself just unable to tolerate the way things were situated in the house. COVID house. Do you have COVID house? We have COVID house, which is it's not like we're living in heaps of our own garbage or anything, but it's like, okay, we've got a lot of things to donate to Goodwill, but nobody's going to see the living room for at least another 6 months. So let's put them in there. Extra cooking pots. Well, we'll just put them in the parlor or wherever. So there's all these things in weird places around our house because of COVID. And that was fine with me until it wasn't. And when it wasn't, it really wasn't. And I spent all yesterday completely changing around everything in the house. And now we're all into it and we're shifting everything around. I've talked about this. Those of you who are coaches know that in the coaching system we use, change has 4 different stages. And one of the stages means that you completely revise your house. You get to a place where the way you're living doesn't match your inside life. And so you start shifting things around in your house. So you can know that you're making a fresh start. And I even went and looked up Chinese New Year because I remember when I lived in Singapore, Chinese New Year goes on for 15 days. And there's all this cleaning and different kinds of cooking of food. And then there's one day where you can't clean at all. And then you go to another person's house and do things. And I got so excited about this that I thought, it's probably a universal human thing, and making a fresh start feels really, really good. I think we may get a little addicted to the idea, actually. A lot of us think, I'm going to make a fresh start right now. Well, here's the first thing I want to tell you about making fresh starts. They don't happen until they're ready to happen, and they come from the inside. So, for example, if today you watch this and say, okay, I should make a fresh start. I mean, I've also got COVID house. I've been wearing the same sweatpants for 6 months. I've got to do something new. That's not going to work because it's not coming from inside you. I sat around my COVID house for many months and just didn't even notice that there were cooking pots in the parlor until I was just bursting with it. Now, again, in our coaching system, we talk about how the way humans change is similar to the way caterpillars metamorphose into butterflies, right? What you have to know about this is that, well, first thing that's very interesting, and you coaches all know this, when a caterpillar goes into its cocoon, it melts down into a liquid and then rebuilds all its cells into a caterpillar. So it completely dissolves. Important point, if the caterpillar isn't big enough when it goes into the cocoon, there's not enough stuff to make a butterfly. So they have to reach a stage called full fed. And this means they are large caterpillars. And I remember once when I lived in Phoenix, that we have these things called hawk moths. They're huge. They're like 5 to 7 inches long, and these big, triangular, beautiful, beautiful creatures. And the caterpillar for them has to have the same number of cells, the same mass as the finished moth. So I remember pulling out of my driveway one day and actually seeing a caterpillar crossing the driveway in the rearview mirror. The thing was like 6 inches long and an inch around. It was a large caterpillar. And then, so I got out of my car and I put it on a shovel and moved it away so I wouldn't roll over it. And then when I came back from the grocery store, it was headed back across the driveway. So it built a cocoon in our garage and became a hawk moth. But that's a whole story all to itself. My point is that if you're going to make a new start, it has to come from a position of being full fed. You have to have been, and I think it's related to the phrase fed up in English. I don't know if that translates to any other language, but I was just fed up with having cooking pots in my parlor yesterday. I was fed up with the fact that we'd made a little studio in our basement to record some videos and never taken it down. I went into this frenzy of I am fed up. And if I hadn't been able to do something yesterday, it would have been like a kind of torture. So, first thing, if you think you have to make a fresh start because your friends and neighbors and family and all those people are telling you that you need to start over, don't listen. Do not go into a cocoon if you're not full fed. You won't be able to create anything beautiful and glorious. You will get fed up if you stay in any situation long enough. And at that point, it reminds me a little bit of the experiences described by Eckhart Tolle and Byron Katie. Sorry, two people that I know have in my lifetime, so all of our lifetimes, I assume, undergone this massive transformation from miserable, unhappy people who saw the world as meaningless all the way to people who are continually enjoy and never experience suffering. So full enlightenment, to use the Asian term. And in both cases, if you read their stories, they reached a point of being so fed up with themselves. Eckhart Tolle, he was 29 years old and he was thinking, I cannot live with myself. I can't live with myself. And it was that statement that made him think, wait, if I can't live with myself, who's talking? Because it's not myself. And when he got to that point, he was in bed and he felt as if he were being pulled into a kind of vortex. And he heard this voice that he said came from his chest. And it said, resist nothing. And then he went shoom, sort of out of consciousness. And when he came to again, it was morning time and he was enlightened. Like everything was incredible. Everything was fresh and new. And he basically just went and sat on a park bench, marveling at the world, slowly getting his functionality back before he started interacting with the rest of the world again. Byron Katie, very similar. Years, decades of depression and anxiety, horrible anxiety, to the point where at the end of her misery, when she was 43, she was literally screaming, I can't, what was she screaming? I have no purpose. I have no purpose. And she had to be physically tackled because she was in so much agony. She was just sort of flailing. And she went to a halfway house for women with eating disorders. And they made her sleep in the attic because they were so scared of her. And one night she fell asleep miserable. And in the morning she woke up enlightened. And everything was fresh. Everything was new. Everything seemed completely astonishing. And everything was full of joy. And she's lived that way ever since. So when I had my little spurt of homemaking yesterday, I recognized that feeling of I can't handle this anymore. If you've ever had a baby, you know that, well, for me anyway, that feeling came about 4 to 10 hours before I went into actual labor. Would be this I cannot handle this pregnancy anymore. I can't. And I would start cleaning under the refrigerator and smashing things with hammers, anything, crying, sobbing. I can't do this. And all my children came a little bit early. The first one came 2 weeks early. The second two were born 4 weeks before their due dates. So I didn't really expect it. And then, of course, my fourth child, I did not have to have. How to have a child when you're as old as I am? 3 steps. Number 1, be a lesbian. Number 2, have a younger partner. Number 3, make her have a baby. I didn't make her have a baby. She wanted to. She got to a place where she was as a childless person, I am full fed. I need to transform into a maternal person. And the need was intense. When something hits us, guys, in our coaching thing, we talk about 3 types of catalyzing events or catalytic events. First is shock. Something bad happens. Okay, there's a pandemic, whatever. And you have to change everything. Second is opportunity. You fall in love, you get a new job, wonderful. You win the lottery. It changes your life. The third is growth. You simply get bigger and bigger in the state you're in as a caterpillar until you're full fed, and then bang, the catalyst to metamorphose into something completely different just gets triggered. And for us, it happens over and over again throughout life. In fact, I think the more open we are to experience, and the less we cling to familiarity, the more times it can happen to us. And every time I feel that sense of mounting anxiety and frustration, I used to be very baffled by it and sort of frightened, and I didn't like it. Now I think, oh, here comes a metamorphosis. And I remember what the voice said to Eckhart Tolle: resist nothing. So I just start to move. I let myself go wherever it needs to go. The energy needs to go. And so the first thing is wait until the urge to make a new start comes from within. The second thing is let the force move you, because you don't know what you're going to metamorphose into. And it's in one of my books, Expecting Adam, I compared it to being a puppet and having these master puppeteers moving my body, moving my psyche even, putting interesting thoughts into my head, changing me in various ways. And that feeling will come back. If you resist nothing, you'll feel yourself doing certain things. I just knew I had to dismantle the little recording studio where Ro and I used to do our podcast, because we've made a different podcast zone, and I had to reconfigure that space. I think it was probably related to doing an audiobook. Take it down, take it down, take it down. I don't know why. I'm not sure what that space is going to be used for next, but I guarantee it's going to be something. So that's number 2. Go with the force. It will take you where it wants you to go. Number 3, allow for not knowing. There's this place in the middle, like that place that used to be our recording booth is just empty right now. It's not a big space, but something's going to happen there. I can feel it. But during the time you're going through the transformation, you don't actually know what you're becoming. So for me, making a fresh start, the most exciting thing about it is I don't start with an objective. You start with an objective when you come from society's view. I'm going to make myself better. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to do this or that. If you start from within, you actually don't know what nature's intelligence or the divine or whatever is planning to do with your life. You just know you're full fed with what you are now. So you do what it wants, and then you let the space be blank for a while. And you have to let that go on, usually for longer than you think it should. We don't like uncertainty. We don't like not knowing. And to just wait in this liminal period. Limin means on the threshold, neither one thing nor the other. But liminal spaces and liminal times in ancient cultures were thought to be magical times, because if you're on the threshold, not one thing nor the other, you're nobody nowhere, but you're also anybody anywhere. You can become things. You can be invisible. Different things happen in these threshold times. So let them last. And then finally, the fourth thing is whatever comes up, don't judge it. Just embrace it. See where your life wants to go next. And what I've experienced over and over is metamorphosis into something that would have terrified me if I had been told a long time earlier what was going to happen. I mean, classic shift for me was being happily and lovingly marrying the guy I loved and being with him for 10 years and then realizing, oh, I'm gay. Yeah, that was, I did not see that one coming. And yet it's brought me tremendous amounts of joy and satisfaction that to me are much more fun than just having one sexual orientation during a lifetime. So I hope that's not too shocking for some of you. Shocking is where you may go if you allow yourself to be truly metamorphosed. If you really make a brand new, fresh start, it may be something so incredible that not only would you not think of it, you couldn't imagine it on your wildest day, but it can be amazing. Read Glennon Doyle's Untamed about going to sleep one day a straight woman and waking up the next day a lesbian. It's awesome. Okay, now I have some questions coming in, and they are on this other screen. So I turn my head now. This is all so technological. So Marianne, Anne Ramsey, hello. In German, she says it's full up to the nose. Done! I am done with it. I love that. I wonder if it's in all kinds of different languages. So Marianne says, wondering about Inner Drive in the fall to sell house in Frisco and buying a new home in North Carolina. I'm typically cautious and made a rather quick decision. Were you full fed when you moved to Pennsylvania? Oh my gosh, that was so weird. Yes, absolutely. So I bought this place in California that I absolutely loved, and it was so magical, and I so had to go there. And I really thought I'd live there in the mountains, meditating all day forever. I didn't want to be with people. I was just off drifting like a monk in the mountains or a nun in the mountains. And I was like, this is awesome. And then 6 years in, it was like, all right, the process that was necessary here has been completed. Move east. And the only thing that really made me feel connected was that I had gone to California and written a novel about a woman who gets lost in the woods in California and experiences a kind of enlightenment thing. And then I'd written the first part of the sequel, and I knew that the sequel would have to happen in the ancient forests of the northeastern America. So I'd already written that, and I thought, I'm going to have to go on a really long vacation to the Catskills or something in order to know what that environment is like. And it also, part of it's in Manhattan, and I hadn't been there for long periods. So when this signal came, okay, move to the Northeast, whatever part of me was writing those books had already planned it out. And what was so interesting is that my whole family kind of went, that's what we have to do. Like, just, and so this that you see behind me is a painting of a spot really near our house in old growth forest, at least 300-year-old forest in the Northeast. And it feels like whatever it wanted us to move has landed us in the right place. And I have no idea what's going to become of that. I'm still kind of in a liminal space. But here's the thing. If you go with the flow of making a fresh start, it feels like you're always cared for. Like the caterpillar, if it resisted the cocoon, might dissolve anyway, and then it would be in trouble, right? It goes into the cocoon not knowing what it's doing, closes itself in, this period of incubation. And if it didn't do that, it would die without becoming what it's meant to be. And if you just keep surrendering, resist nothing, resist nothing, resist nothing at every single stage, that's when you come out with wings on the other side. But you really don't know. There are all these wonderful mysteries to explore as you go through this process. Okay, Kira said, Sarah. Okay, so relate to this, she says. To make a fresh start after failed IVF treatment and coming to terms with life without kids, I had to go deep into the loss without resistance. Holy smokes. I had no idea before Ro went through IVF how, I hesitate to use the word traumatizing. I don't want to overdo that, but it is not easy. It is a difficult, painful, expensive, just really hard process for the woman's body and especially for the psyche. Your hormones are all over the place. The mechanics of it are so strange and detailed, and you have to get everything right. And then if you lose the chance at a baby after all of that, it's absolutely wrenching. One psychiatrist told me that it was equivalent to having cancer treatment. It was that hard on the body and the emotions. And we were super duper lucky, and we had success. And when I hear about people who have to resign themselves to the fact that it did not work, oh boy, talk about having to resist nothing. That is horrible. And the same thing is true for those of you who are losing loved ones for whatever reason, COVID, cancer, isolation, whatever it is. There is so much grief in this process when you're losing big chunks of your identity that you had attached your heart to. And still, as you dive in and go in without resistance, Sarah, my heart is so with you. And I'm so sure that has made you into a being that you couldn't have become in any other way. It makes you strong. It makes you brave. It makes you compassionate if you go in without resistance. And if you don't, then it can pretty much destroy you, I think. And that's true of anything that is the loss of a big dream. So sorry, Sarah. Kira says, just tuned in and heard step 1, be a lesbian. So I know this is going to be an interesting one. Yeah, step 1, be a lesbian. But then you thought it was going to get all exciting and R-rated. No. No, this is not. It was about making a baby, and it's not nearly as titillating as stories of how you made babies the normal way. Well, the way most people do, let me say. Yes, it's much more technical when two lesbians, or however many lesbians there are, decide to have a baby. Oh, this gets so complicated. But yes, thank you for picking up on that. I hope that now you are a lesbian. No, you don't have to be anything that doesn't come from your heart, your soul. Katie says, Martha, when you first started experience, yes, I almost said when you farted instead of when you first started. That would just absolutely be par for the course on this particular podcast. Okay, video cast, Instacast, Facebook cast. I don't even know what I'm doing here, but I know I'm driven from within. Okay, so Katie says, Martha, when you first started experiencing transformations, was it hard for you to let the puppet masters control the show? I have such trouble letting myself be moved rather than trying to control it. Yes, I have a few tiny control issues. Ha ha. Well, Katie, you and your control issues are the same as I think probably every human being on earth. We live to control. But here's the thing. The two things we're most attached to, the sense of self and the sense of control, when they look now at people who've had enlightenment experiences, so people living in deep, deep bliss that never seems to change, those people have no activity in the area of the brain related to a sense of self and the area of the brain related to a sense of control. So absolutely, I fought and kicked and screamed. I mean, the first time it really, really was strong was when my son was born, when he was conceived, as the pregnancy went along, as I was like saved from a burning building by people like that didn't show up on camera. I mean, I put it all in a memoir, Expecting Adam, and it was when I thought my life was getting really crappy, and instead it got really magical. But I fought it all the way. I did not want any of that to happen. But here's the thing. The more an event crushes your sense of control and your sense of self, and the more you lean into that, the more you say, okay, I'm going to let this happen. I'm going to make a fresh start by allowing, resist nothing. Those parts of the brain, as they quiet, leave you in a state of awakening or bliss without any kind of constraint. There's a peace and a stillness through which all your emotions move that you actually start to identify with, that is not isolated within the self, and it doesn't try to control anything because it is everything. And you just sort of sit back and watch, and then, as Walt Whitman says, you watch both in and out of the game, and watching and wondering at it. It's very cool. So Anne says, how long does a liminal period last? It can last a long time. It can last for, like Tolle says, after he sat on his bench for 3 years, he started sort of saying to the powers that be, I could do more. You want to use me for something. It's like, no, a few more years, lots of years. By the time he was meeting with Oprah to talk about his best-selling books, he was 60. So he had his transformation when he was 29. By the time he was 60, he was living a completely different life. I'm not sure what happened during those 30 years, but I think the really intense liminal period lasted about 3 years. And I think I've heard Byron Katie say that it took her about 3 years to normalize and be able to interact with people. Now, a pregnancy is a liminal period, 9 months. A lot of things have a kind of anniversary reaction. So a year or 2 years seem to mark transitions quite frequently. And it's not uncommon for a liminal period emotionally to last about a year after someone's death, a year after a trauma, before you're normalized again. So that's a long time to be sort of, I have no arms and legs, I'm not a caterpillar, but I also have no wings. It's a long time to resist nothing. And we've all been, when this is being recorded, we've all been stuck in our houses for almost a year, except for those of you who are bravely going out to do necessary services. The pandemic has really been a long liminal period. And I remember people saying, well, this can't go on for weeks. Here we are almost a year later, not really knowing when normalcy will return. It's perfectly normal. Liminal periods last this long often. I almost said awful, Freudian slip. So allow, resist nothing. Who knows what's being made of us? Okay, I have a few more questions that I'll answer really quickly. Gina says, would you say that even means not continuing to take work projects that aren't meaningful to you? Just allow the space. Yeah. If somebody brings you a work project and it looks good logically, but everything in you is saying, no, that's not me, don't do it. That's not your fresh start. Your fresh start starts in here. You start to feel fed up to the nose right inside yourself, and that's what you follow. So, yes, I am, Sam I am, says, it's fascinating how your life consciousness tracks with my own. Is there some like-minded shared transformation? Yes. Since I was 3 years old, have always had this overwhelming feeling that I would be part of a big transformation in the way people think. I now call it the transformation of consciousness. And I've discovered, in my many years, that a lot of people have been thinking this. People I didn't know were thinking it when I was 3. And I actually believe that there's a whole echelon of people who are born to participate in that and to help with it. And if you're watching this in any way, shape, or form, you're probably one of those folks. And in case, I call it the team, but it's not a team that's hard to get on. The only qualification is if you want to be on this team, that's the sign you're already on it. So welcome to the team. Yeah, I think we're supposed to be here to shift things up. So let's see. There's so many questions. I'm not sure I can do all of them. Shall I keep going or shall I? It took us a while to get going. I'm going to go on. Okay, Jessica says, I've been really working on this or not working on it since it's a releasing practice. What can I tell myself when I feel guilty for taking this important time to be still? Okay, read the work of people who know that stillness is our real goal, our real destination, our real identity. So they'll all be spiritual writers, but every spiritual writer, not religious, but spiritual, will tell you the same thing, that stillness is the primary agent of everything meaningful. And that when you take time to be still, what feels like nothingness can actually be you rocketing forward at light speed as a kind of hand puppet of the divine. In Dante's Divine Comedy, at the end when he gets to paradise, one of the confusing things about it is he doesn't feel like he's moving at all, but he also knows that he's moving at the speed of light, which works with physics, because if you're moving at the speed of light, time stops. So you are moving very rapidly, but no time is passing, so you're not really going anywhere. You're everywhere and nowhere. Classic liminal period. So yeah, read other people's stuff. Get back in touch with that. Gwendolyn says, do some people get into the fresh start as a way of being and then have a hard time settling into regular life? I would hope so, because what fun is it to settle back into regular life? Has regular life ever been that great for the mass of people? I think it could be much better. Yes, it's so fun to be a full-fed caterpillar, but we can't even imagine how fun it will be to be a hawk moth or a butterfly. So, yeah, I think we do have a hard time settling because it's so much fun not to be regular. Okay, Ruby says, when you're in a liminal phase, how do you know which new impulses to follow through on? Number one, they're irresistible. Not to follow them is almost painful. Number two, allowing yourself to follow them is exciting. Is it free from fear? Never. You will always be scared. You will have butterflies as you become a butterfly, but it's going to be exciting and dramatic and meaningful. So if it feels meaningless and aversive, no. But if it feels joyful, even if you're scared, go forward. Finally, Tabby says, feeling dark night of the soul right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Tabby. Different than this feeling of fullness? Don't know where to go, but feel really done with this phase of life. This is a good place to end, Tabby, because I think what you're talking about is the feeling of reaching the end of your rope in terms of what you've been taught to do and be and think at this point in your life. And what feels like you might have nowhere to go is actually the overcrowding of the mind and soul with acculturated beliefs. The reasons we go into dark nights of the soul is that we believe things that aren't true for us at the deepest level, and we steer in a direction that is wrong for us. So we know, our souls know it's time to become butterflies, and part of our culture is telling us to fight that or to resist it. It's always a form of resistance, and suffering will guide you to the very places where the things that you need to stop resisting are causing you the most psychological suffering. So I just wrote a whole book about it. It's called The Way of Integrity, and you can get a lot more details about how to go all the way from a dark night of the soul to complete and lasting joy. But in the meantime, Tabby, so much love to you and so much love to all of you. Thanks for putting up with our technical glitches. And I hope you all have a wonderful fresh start in some way this week, even if it's just tiny. And I'll see you next week, or I'll talk to you next week on The Gathering Room. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye.